Hello and welcome to Tech Excellence Podcast, where we discuss all the things connected to running your tech company and making it excellent, whatever it means to you. Every week, I interview amazing guests about their definition of excellence in technology. And today, I am joined by Stoyan Yankov, mentor, coach with huge experience working with like over 200 teams all over the world, helping them to create great company culture. And he's also the co-author of a book, Perform Methodology. So definitely something I recommend to read for every person working within tech, even if you're not a tech founder, but maybe a team leader. It also makes sense for everybody to start applying that not technology methodology. We're all in the technology world, so
Maybe
all
we
the
should
words
maybe
are
we should make it a technology, Monica.
maybe, yeah, that probably there's a way to do it, a technology, and to somehow automate the process. However, we will talk about the perform methodology later on, because today's core topic is bringing the future into present. So we're going to talk about effective planning for startups, tech leaders, and anybody who is involved in planning during their work. Hi, Stoyan. It's great to have you here.
Hey, Monica, good to see you after, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years,
Yeah, I
last time we
think it's
met.
after 2 years. Exactly. So great to see you too.
Very
Uh,
excited to explore together this topic, Monica. And you mentioned, for those of you who are planning, like literally every time I do a workshop or a training program with startup teams, with large organizations, there's gonna be at least one person that comes to me, and he would say or she would say, "Stoyan, all these planning tools and ideas, amazing, super practical, love it, but I don't have time to plan my time. I'm just too busy." You don't get it. Like we have a product launch, we have the customers, the people. I'm just too busy to organize my time. It always puts a smile on my face. I wonder why you're so busy. Maybe
mhm.
you haven't prioritized time for planning and organizing your time, and now you have no time for anything,
Yeah.
including prioritization. So I'm very happy to explore this topic and hopefully bring some value to your audience.
Because sometimes it can be a vicious circle. A lot of leaders say, yeah, I don't have time for planning. Why? Because you're not planning, and you're not planning because you don't have time. So it seems like a never ending story. But there are some tools that you can use. And also, I think it's a mindset thing based on your book, at least. So we are going to explore it, especially that one thing that I noticed among the founders is that sometimes, when you have this vision and this drive to execute your new idea, you think about something very far away in the future, something really distant, the success, the revolution, how you will change the world, and the big idea. But, the whole art of business is to put it into actionable steps and into some strategy. Because, if we ask someone, what are you planning? Oh, I'm planning to conquer the world. You need to know how are you going to conquer the world and in what iterations, etc. So I think, having some targets and planning is crucial. And maybe you could tell us why.
Yeah, and let's start from there. First of all, having an ambitious vision, absolutely important. I recently had a conversation with the former vice president of Microsoft, Chris Williams. Go check him out. Very inspiring guy, talking a lot about leadership these days. And we probably spent 30 minutes out of 60 minutes conversation talking about the importance of having an audacious vision, articulating the vision, communicating the vision, repeating the vision, making sure everybody buys into the vision. So having
Hmm.
an ambitious vision, absolutely important. At the same time, Monica, you've been organizing events, conferences, you know that. Everybody these days is building a unicorn. you
Hmm.
know?
That's
It's
true.
like it's like what are you guys doing? Like two founders or something. We want to build a unicorn. It's like, hold on a second. Do you know what's the probability of somebody building a unicorn? And do you really want to build a unicorn? So the first part is, hey, let's be ambitious, but let's be ambitious based around what do we actually want to create. Like if your business works well 3 5 10 years in the future, everything works by plan, is that the direction that you want to be? Okay, let's say you actually achieve the unicorn status. Is that what you want? 500, 1,000 or more people, stress, pressure, investors, like that's fine if that's what you want. It's been amazing, right? But what is the kind of business I want to build? What is the kind of lifestyle I want to build around it? So I'm fully aligned. So when we start embarking on a journey and we bring people on board, we can actually we relate to this thing, right? You wake up in the morning and you can't wait to start doing stuff. So starting from this, right, bringing the future into the present, you gotta define what the future is, the long-term future, and not just
Makes
take,
sense.
hey, let's build a unicorn, okay, and then hey, maybe let's take some time and really identify what we want to happen. Okay, so that's kind of the starting point. But then building backwards, as you said, you need to create space in your daily, weekly, monthly schedule for proper time management, planning, strategizing. And many people don't do that. Not that they don't know, just we're too busy, right? It's so easy to wake up in the morning, get your coffee, and then start doing stuff. But the problem is, you feel like it's kind of like we give this metaphor also in the book, Monica. Starting your company is like you get into the jungle, right? Like it's the first few years for everybody who's starting now. First few years, it's a fight for survival, pretty much. Like the odds are big against you. Any kind of study you go and see, the odds are going to be against you. Like, I don't know, 5% of startups are still going to be operational in a few years. Okay, so first step, build the structures to survive in the jungle. But if you're too much in the jungle every single day, like you're down in the trenches, like trying to fix things and figure things out, it's really difficult to actually make progress in the right direction. There's a lot of productivity cost, as opposed to, well, let me create some structure, organizational structure, and it starts with you, the leader. Frequently, regularly, I need to take a step back. I need to have a look at where are we going, what are the goals, what are the objectives, right? What are my personal priorities within the framework of these goals, and what do I do on a daily basis? Like how much time do I spend on a daily basis to plan and organize my time? I tell founders, you gotta set 20 to 30 minutes, like block it in your calendar, literally. Like I would recommend do it at the end of the day. Some people do it in the morning, that's fine. But let's say you're working until 7 p.m., 6:30 to 7 o'clock. You have a meeting with yourself, you sit down, you have a look at your day. Okay, what happened today? Are we making progress on the goals? How did I do on the meetings? All right, quickly do a reflection, and then what do I have to do tomorrow? What are the kind of results? By the way, this is a fundamental principle in any productivity or time management book. Start with the end in mind. Okay, so many founders, like, we sit together and I coach them on productivity, right? And what are you going to do tomorrow? Show me your to-do list. Ooh, I don't have time for a to-do list. Okay, let's do it now. They do a to-do list, and one of the items, for example, follow up on leads. Okay, that's your to-do list. Okay, let's do it. Hello, lead. I just wanted to follow up. Have a nice day. No, it's not. Is that what you want? Maybe you want some sort of an outcome. Maybe you want to close a deal. Maybe you want to schedule a meeting. So creating space in your calendar, right, every single day, where you make a to-do list, but then you prioritize in terms of the outcomes. You can find there's a really good tool called the Perform Planning Method. I'm happy to elaborate and explore it with you. But again, it always starts with the long term. Okay, how do we set goals? And people get so stuck, Monica, with we need to find the perfect strategy and methods. There's no perfect strategy and method. Many companies are using OKRs, objectives and key results. We can also talk about that if you want. But there's so many methods. It's more about what is the kind of method that we choose as a team, as a company, that we will follow through on.
Yeah, that we will actually follow that. Something we will actually use. That's the best one, yeah? The one that we will use. Because there are
That's
so
right.
many different strategies on how to plan. and you can get really, lost in all of them. But if you just choose what works and choose something that you will be using every day, then I believe it makes sense.
And it's an experimentation. You don't know. I was, we have different methods we're using in my team, right? And I would use try different tools and apps and project management tools, and people just don't use them. So we're using spreadsheets.
And
Like
it
we have a
works.
method, how we use it, but it's a
Hmm.
spreadsheet. Like, so people don't use the other one. So why complicate things? Keep it simple. If spreadsheets work for you, that's fine. If you want some more, you know, ClickUp or Trello or some other kind of a tool, fine. But it's not about the tool. The tool is the last thing that needs to come to mind and to discussion is the tool. It's more about what do we do? Where are we going? How do we set goals? How often do we have strategy sessions? Even if you're a small team, most founders, especially early stage founders, they just plan in their heads. Like, hey,
Hmm.
what are we going to do? Hey, let's try this thing. Okay, boom. Well, maybe you want to allocate a little bit more time to strategically identify what are the most important goals. Let's choose the ones that are with highest priority, with highest impact for the business. Let's identify what percentage of our time and resources is going to be spent on them. Who will take ownership of each of the goals?
No,
And,
I think that's crucial.
hmm,
Yeah, who will take ownership of each of the goals. And
yeah,
sometimes
that's
it's
another one.
forgotten that, there is a task on the to-do list, but it's not assigned to anybody. It's not assigned to any owner. So if it's everybody's, it's nobody's.
Yeah, me, Maria, and Peter are working on this campaign. So what's up with the campaign? Oh, we haven't really been doing much because we
We're
were
just
so
working on
busy.
it, the three of us.
No, but that's why, Monica. That's why the reason we created me and Cristobal, my co-author, is the CEO of Startup Wise Guys, leading acceleration program in Europe, but also since recently, I think was the best global acceleration program in 2022. Sorry.
Hmm.
So we created this methodology for ourselves first because we needed it. It's like we need some structured approach towards company culture and performance that will allow us to build teams and pay attention to the areas that matter most.
Hmm.
Yeah, like effective planning is one of them. Is E for from the perform
Hmm. Yeah,
acronym.
I chose only one point because I thought it's too elaborate, and also like anyone can just go and grab the book and learn more about the whole
Yeah, let's
method.
let's dive
Yeah.
into the planning part, but they're all connected, right? And the
Hmm. And
the one
all
about
equally as important.
for sure, and they're interconnected, right? Like
Hmm.
roles and responsibilities. Like you started talking about accountability
Hmm.
and delegation. Who is responsible or accountable? I mean, some of you might have used frameworks like RACI or RACI, which is very, very helpful for any project, for any company, to identify who's the one person in command, who's the accountable person.
Hmm.
Very few teams do it. Everybody knows this stuff. Like,
Yes,
let's
I
sit
know.
together,
I've heard about a lot of stories that there are so few teams doing that actually, and sometimes people are just confused and lost. It there's no like owner of the task and of the area.
Yeah, and it's about creating clarity. Like planning is a lot about creating clarity, pretty much.
Hmm.
Because when you know who's the decision maker, and the decision maker knows what exactly is expected from them, right? Because the founder, everything makes sense in the head of the founder.
Yeah, of
But
course.
when you delegate, when you delegate to somebody from your team, or somebody from your team delegates to somebody else, are they clear what's exactly expected from them? What is
Hmm.
the deliverable? And what is their level of decision making on the specific project? And also the people that they're managing, do they understand who is the person they need to turn to when they need something, right? A decision to
Hmm.
be made. Who do they need to
Guidance or
consult?
something. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the RACI, right? RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. Accountable is the person that's in command, making decisions. Doesn't mean they're doing anything, right? They're the project manager. The responsible is the person that is doing stuff. And there could be three,
Hmm.
four, five people. let's say you have a, I don't know, IT project. It could be 3 developers, right? But there's one that's accountable. Okay, and then you have consulted. Who should we ask before we move forward to create this feature? Okay, this is Michael. Cool. Informed. Who do we keep in the loop? I gotta tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my team to keep me in the loop about everything. I have enough email and Slack messages, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta talk about these things, and identify what are these areas, who's accountable, who's responsible, create clarity, and then it makes it easier for people to operate on their own.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds like something that really makes sense. And you said it's about clarification. How to clarify your priorities? Because everything seems to be important. And especially if you have a very driven team, everybody thinks that, oh, everything is equally as important. So how to clarify the priorities? Is
You
there
know,
anything you can advise?
I had a conversation with Melissa Rosenthal on my podcast, Productivity Mastery. If you guys enjoyed this one, go check it out as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. We'll link it down below.
so Melissa Rosenthal she's the CCO, Chief Creative Officer of ClickUp.
Mm-hmm.
And she was an executive at BuzzFeed, at Cheddar. She was running her own startup at some point, and we talk about focus and and planning.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her answer. It was something in the lines of, at any point in your startup, you only have 2 or 3 things you should really focus on. You know that. You know that. I mean, it's easy. It's really simple. Like, sit down, gather your team. Hey, what are all the places and ideas? Where can we go? What should we focus on? Okay, right? Raise funding, track customers, build the product. Like, make a big list. Okay, everything. Talk to your advisors, talk to other people, make a big list, and then ask yourself, what are the top 3 objectives that matter most? What is
Mm-hmm.
most important to us? We need to attract 100K in funding. Okay, cool. This is one of your objectives the next quarter. What else? We need to get traction for, for this to work. Okay, how many users do you need to acquire? I don't know. Well, if you did know, well, okay, cool. All right, what else? Well, we need to hire 2 more people. Cool. What kind of types, personalities? Okay, great. What percentage of your time are you going to allocate to make progress on these ones? And then you can build it backwards. There's so many tools. We talk about OKRs as one tool. Maybe I can mention to the 5 people that haven't heard about it. But like, OKRs is objectives and key results, right? I like it because you're supposed to only set 3 objectives for a quarter, no more. And each
Mm-hmm.
objective, you need to um, clarify it with the key results, which is the tangible key results
Mm-hmm.
connected to the objective. So the objective is grow sales in the next quarter. The key result could be increase sales with 30%, reach out to 1,000 leads, like whatever, right? Like tangible,
But very tangible,
measurable, very
measurable, yeah.
measurable. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you assign who's gonna be in charge, right? And I love that it's only 3. You know,
Yes, I think it's really important not to water down your efforts and focus on fewer things and doing them properly instead of doing doing like 10 different things and not having enough time, not having like a very clear vision. I think that's a very powerful practice to narrow down your efforts to like a smaller portion of activities.
and you're still gonna do 10 things or 20
Of course,
because
especially if you're a
you know
beginning founder.
yeah, I mean, even if you're not, like, there's so many things you have to do anyway, so you need to protect time for the things that matter most. and
Mm-hmm.
and there's a great question I learned from the co-author of a book called The One Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic book. The authors of the book are hardcore business people. Like, they built several businesses. One of them is, I think it's the largest real estate company in the world. They had like more than 250,000 employees, like multiple businesses, different books, and they live by the philosophy in this book called The
Mm-hmm.
One Thing. And if you go to the book, in the back of the book there is a question mark, because they believe that everything is connected to this question. And I think
Mm-hmm.
people, if people ask themselves this question more often, they'll be more productive. So the question is, What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary?
Yeah,
And
that's a powerful question.
think about it like this question at a you have a goal setting or strategy session. You identify all the different goals, ideas, projects. What's the one thing we should do or we can do such that by doing it, okay, attract investment, maybe, I don't know, that's the one thing. Cool, this is the one thing. How much effort and resources are going to put into that one thing? And Jay Papasan, one of the co-authors, he recommends you come up with these 17 strategies. You find the one with the biggest lever, and you just say no to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be a bit extreme, right? For example, what's the one thing we can do to attract more users? Because you can use the question like that, right? What's the one thing
Mm-hmm.
we can do to improve company culture? You identify the one with the biggest lever, and sometimes you got to test a little bit, experiment, see which is the one, and then you double down, triple down on that one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're doing a marketing Facebook campaign. I don't know. You try 10 different campaigns. You figure out the one that generates most results, and then you probably put most of your
Budget
resources on
into
that
that,
one.
yeah.
It makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
But we don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing sounds extreme, but if it worked for the business giants, then I believe it's something that makes sense.
I think there was a story with Richard Branson. They wanted to book him for an event, to speak at an event. So they sent him a proposal and like 100K for come and speak at an event. The office of Richard Branson kindly rejects the offer. Okay, 250,000. Let's get Richard Branson. We send him a private jet, get him his pigs, bring him back to his island. All right. Reject kindly. 500,000 for a 30-minute keynote. Send him the jet, take care of him, get his family, whatever. The office kindly rejects and send the email back. Richard has three strategic objectives, and speaking in public
It's
for
none of
any
them.
fee is none of them. He appreciates the opportunity. No thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody will say, but he's Richard Branson. I mean, he can afford it. He's just chilling in the island, doing stuff, right? But it's also like a food for thought. Maybe that's why he's Richard Branson.
Mm-hmm. Because he
Because
focused on like three key things at a time instead of doing like 15 of them.
and Monica, you speak to many super successful people. I get the chance to speak to people like the founder of Reebok, the former president of Starbucks, the founder of Vivino, unicorn founders. I mean, you name it. These people are naysayers, no sayers. Okay, not
Mm-hmm.
naysayers, no sayers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks these are like yes, yes, men. Um, they're not. They're no by default. People are really bad in saying no. These people, it's like you have to be really, really good to convince them they should do something because they know that
Mm-hmm.
there's so many opportunities. They have to be laser focused on the two, three things that matter most. How do I help myself to focus? One very simple tool. One thing is to define, identify. How do we set goals? Right? Do we use OKRs,
Mm-hmm.
KPIs, some kind of a strike? Doesn't matter. We set the goals. We are clear where we're going. But then even if we have goals on a team level, it's like, what about me? Each individual in the team needs to be clear what they should focus on, what their priorities are. So again, we like the number three, right? What are
Mm-hmm.
your top three priorities in the business? As a leader, you need to know at any moment what are your top three priorities, and you need to help and coach and make it clear for your team to know
Mm-hmm.
what their priorities should be if they're not clear. Ideally, you coach them to set them up themselves, and you just help them, adjust a little bit with the overall
Mm-hmm.
vision. But to begin with, what are your priorities, right? I had this conversation. I had a coaching client, Italian guy, Federico. If you're watching, Federico, love you, brother. Tons of love. Creative producer, music producer from New York, moved to Denmark. We met there. He graduated this innovation school. doing a lot of cool projects, great professional. He started a business, and he had some connections. They gave him projects. They liked it, recommended him. All of a sudden, he have a lot of projects. He calls me one day, man, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. It's just
No
I'm
surprise.
I'm like, I'm not sleeping, and he was expecting a second kid as well. So on top of everything, right? Um, I'm like, okay, let's meet up. Okay, we meet up. He's all around the place. Like I don't know what to do. Okay, let's take a step back. What are your top three priorities in the business at the moment? Uh, okay, I know. Well, I need to do this and that and that. Okay, cool. What percentage of your time and energy do you spend making progress in these three areas on the things that you mentioned as a priorities? Uh, no more than 5%.
Then it's
Interesting.
all backwards.
Interesting. Are they really your priorities? No. Okay. So, how much time? What percentage of your time and effort do you want to spend on these areas? Make a progress in them. I think 80. Interesting. Okay. What can you do? Like let's talk. Let's discuss it now.
Mhm.
Then he sits down, we talk about it. He figures out that he can actually hire somebody to do all the things that taking his time because he was already generating good revenue, right? He calls me in 2 or 3 weeks and he's like, man, 80%, I'm killing it. It's like, okay, cool. Like, but I wanted to stay there. Now you're at 80%. I don't want to call you in a week and we have the same conversation. But that's very simple for everybody who's listening. I don't care if you're a founder, if you're an employee in a startup, what are your priorities? Like when you do this kind of activities, you generate most value for the business. I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe it's attracting customers. Maybe it's coaching and growing your team. Maybe it's raising funds, like meeting investors. I don't know, but you define that. But you have to be disciplined, right?
And say no to the other things, more often at least.
It's very hard to say no if you don't know what your priorities are.
Exactly.
It's so much easier for me to say no when I'm clear, it's not rocket science. I'm not smarter than anybody. I just learned some tools that I use regularly, right? So these are the goals, these are the priorities, these are the objectives. And then on a day-to-day basis, we can also talk about that. How do you plan and organize your day, which people really bad at usually. But once I do have that, I mean, Monica, it took us quite some time to kind of organize exactly when we both of us, can record this because we're both busy.
True.
We both have stuff happening, right? And I want to make it happen. It's a priority for me. But then there's maybe a couple of priorities that come ahead, right? For example, serving clients, traveling, preparing, serving clients will come to me before doing podcasts, great podcasts like this one. But it's still a priority, right? But it's not. Sometimes people are
Mhm.
like, these are my 17 priorities.
Okay,
Okay.
so some of them are more of priorities and some of them are less of priorities. Yeah, but I think it's again the art of deciding. Okay, we have three top priorities and three other, let's say, like middle priorities. Yeah, so if we have extra time, then we can commit to that. If this week or this month we don't, then we need to skip that. But maybe next month, if we keep up with the three priorities, we can actually add something extra. Yeah, I think
This
it's
is
a
why
matter
this is
of
why I
deciding
recommend. This is why I recommend um, you spend like you block time in your calendar on a daily basis in which
for
you
planning.
kind of for planning. And people are like, oh my God, 20, 30 minutes. I don't have time for that. Well, you're going to save 4 hours the next day,
Exactly. And you
probably.
don't have time because you're not planning properly.
You haven't planned it, right?
Yeah.
And you want to plan things like in a way that when the next day starts, you're fully committed to do one thing at a time. Like people always, I'm so good in multitasking. No, you're just distracted. You just
Nobody
don't
is
have
good.
discipline.
Yeah.
You don't have
Nobody is
discipline.
good in
Let's be honest.
multitasking.
I mean, okay,
Yeah,
there's
there's been
some.
so much research on how multitasking is not actually productive, and it takes you more time to skip from one task to another than actually fulfilling one task and then going straight to the next one.
There was one study that they did, that they asked people to smoke weed and to do an IQ test, and they ask another group of people, same sample of people, to multitask on email and do an IQ test, and the multitaskers actually perform worse than the people who smoke weed, who are also performing worse than the usual, but
So it shows
multitasking
that,
did.
multitasking
Mm.
is similar to substance use if it comes to
It's
lowering
actually
your,
damaging. It's actually
yeah, it's
damaging to
actually
you and
damage.
to your productivity, to your brain.
Mhm.
So we have to be very careful, which is why I'm coming back. Block 20, 30 minutes in your calendar, and you sit down with yourself, get a cup of tea, whatever. And by the way,
Or
Monica, if you want me,
matcha.
I can give you matcha. That would be good. I can give you a very simple process if you want me so we can get there. For the most people, to-do list looks like, I don't know,
List.
budget, yeah, like a budget, the dog, like
Lead generation,
lead
marketing,
generation, meeting with,
meetings, calls.
yes, which is okay because intuitively you might actually get there, but it's not enough for ambitious people. Most founders are ambitious; they have to be ambitious. There's so much stuff to do. You can't stop there. All right. So step number two, and by the way, you can do that in your notebook, paper notebook, in your spreadsheet, on your app. It's up to you. You get one place, you brain dump, right? First step, capture. Let me have a look at the goals. Let me have a look at the
Mhm.
objectives, the meetings, the different things, ideas. Okay, you make a list of these 30, 40 things, some of them unrelated. Okay, let's group them together. Step number two. Oh, these are all connected to the investment round. This is all connected to the team. This is all connected to lead generation. Okay, but what is the actual outcome? This is the question you got to ask yourself all the time. What's my outcome? What's my outcome from this meeting? Talk about the budget? We can talk about the budget for
Not
8 hours.
enough. Yeah.
Like, I, I don't know, confirm the budget and who will take care of what, maybe,
Hmm.
right? Like, what is David Allen, the author of Getting Things Done? He was on the podcast. We talk about that, and he said it really beautifully. You have to identify what done looks like, and you start
Not
with
to
done.
do, but done. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
to
powerful.
to do is the second one, right? And he like, for those tech people, maybe they'll get it. He says the outcomes and actions are the zeros and ones of productivity, right? You start with the outcome. What's done look like? What's the end result of your action? In
Hmm.
anything you do, by the way, if there's one thing you get from today, what's the end result? What is the intention? You go to a holiday, what's the intention? What do you want to get out of it? You enter a
Hmm.
meeting, what's the intention of the meeting? What's the end result? Okay, so that's the third step. You identify the exact outcome, and then you reverse engineer it. What does that mean? Now that I know that I actually want to close this project for 10,000 euro, if that's your objective from this call, right? Close
Hmm.
the deal for 10,000 euro. Good. What do I have to do to improve my chances for this to succeed? And then you brainstorm
The ideas
a
on
to-do
how
list.
to
Yeah.
get there. Yeah.
But now it's target based, It's not just
Hmm.
random kind of tasks. That might be helpful, but it's now okay. These are the
Yeah, it
five
could be done
core
better.
options. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and half of the things you initially wanted to do, you're not gonna do them because they are not so effective as the ones that you came up with, right?
Hmm.
Okay, step number four, you want to prioritize because the first time you do this, you might have 24 hours of tasks you have to do tomorrow. So you gotta say no. Um,
Hmm.
so this is the place, if people want to really go deep, to ask yourself how much time is each task gonna take me related to the outcomes, right? Uh, Prepare this contract and send it, or a proposal, right? I don't know, 2 hours. 2 hours, good.
Hmm.
Send these 5 emails, 30 minutes. Jump on a call, 45 minutes. Okay, cool. You time all those things, and then it becomes like a menu in a restaurant. Like, literally, for me, it's like, I like to use this metaphor because it's like you can't eat the whole menu in a restaurant. First of all, you gotta pick because you can eat so much food. But secondly, it's about the budget, right? You don't want to spend, you have to be careful what you spend your money on in the restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice salad, but it's very expensive. Let me take that one. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the same with your time. People don't look at their time as a budget, but they should, right? I only have, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 hours to work today. Good. If I
How
spend
do
an
I
hour with
spend them?
Monica,
Yeah.
if I spend an hour with Monica,
What do I have to say no to?
what do I have to say no to? If I spend the hour with you, I can't spend it anywhere else. It should be a priority
Mm-hmm.
for me, right? I need to weight it against everything else. So this kind of a process, it takes me 20 minutes, but then I'm like, okay, I can see all the different opportunities for me to spend my day. I consciously make a decision what are the most important outcomes and what are the steps to get there with the highest leverage. What is important and urgent, I'm using colors. If you get a copy of the book, you can see the how exactly it looks. But it's like, all right, having a podcast with Monica is urgent and important in that case because I will be
It starts
traveling
in
for
15
3 weeks.
minutes. And
Yeah,
she's been
exactly.
talking to me like, come on, let's do it.
Exactly. So I mean, I can move it, but I'll be on the road for 3 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
okay, I need to prepare. I need to be here. I need to be present. This morning I went for a run, right? Because I want to be the best energy to be here and to give value to the audience of Monica, right?
Much
So
appreciated.
no, but it's in my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare for the podcast. You know, 30 minutes go for a run, 15 minutes have a look at the questions and reflect a little bit, right? So if I don't plan it, and this is the fifth step, by the way, schedule. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a study. They did, and they found out if you set some specific goal but don't schedule it. Let's say I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, as
But you don't
opposed
put
to
it in your calendar,
yes,
but
as
it's
opposed to
likely
I'm going
you
to go
will
to the
not.
gym 8 to 9 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
Friday. You put it in your calendar. I think 3 times, 300%, 3 times bigger likelihood that you actually get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Like let that sink for a moment. The most important things that you want to progress on, do you block time in your calendar even if there's nobody else involved?
Mm-hmm.
I have a meeting with myself to complete this contract proposal and send it to the client. 9 to 11, I tell everybody, guys, don't disturb me. I'm having a meeting with myself, but I have a meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the point. You look at this from the step number 4, if you guys still following, like this is the menu of different things and how I want to spend my time. And by the way, for the founders and leaders, it's not just about you. This is the personal time management. You have to lead your team, right? You got to check on the team. What is
Mm-hmm.
the progress? Do they need any coaching? When you're creating this sort of like to-do list and stuff, you need to allocate time for like buffer time. Somebody will ask for feedback. Something will break, So you need to have more space for these kind of things so you're able to move around, and you need to create space for coaching, for everybody to be on the same page. I had a Hollywood cinematographer on the podcast, Shane Herbert, and it was super cool because one of the coolest cinematographers. He shot Terminator, Salvation, Need for Speed, Guns N' Roses music videos, some of the coolest movies out there, right? And we talk about productivity and leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me one of the one of the biggest challenges he had as a leader is to make sure that every person from their team is making the same movie.
Yeah, like, let that sink in. For a lot of people, it can be the case that people within the same company are not working towards the same goals, and it's because they were not clearly communicated and they are not updated regularly about the whole idea, the mission and the vision. Yeah, and
Instead,
that's I think it's the like movie creation thing. It pretty much translates to any kind of business and any kind of enterprise. Yeah, that sometimes you can get lost in like, what are we actually doing here? And everyone's doing something different.
and it's not rocket science. Once again, There's no unified strategy, universal, that works for everybody. It's more like, hey, we got to have frequent communication and keep improving until we make it really effective, right? Daily calls. Many companies are working in a hybrid or remote setup. Even
Mm-hmm.
harder to communicate, because I can't see Monica by the coffee machine and share some ideas. We need to set up a meeting for that, right? So even harder to communicate, to see we're on the same page. So we need to create space for these things to happen in an effective way. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that people are complaining most about, employees especially. I have too many meetings, I can't get anything done. Too many useless meetings that I shouldn't be at.
That should
That,
have been an email.
should have been an email, right? So keep it simple, but like for me, daily calls, this is important. Like in your small team, at least, like depending on how big is the company, right? But if you have a
Mm-hmm.
team of 5 to 10 people, or you're 100 people, but your team is 5 to 10 people, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you need to have dailies. Like very
Totally.
simple, right? Everybody knows it. I don't even know why I should talk about it, but like, um, what did you achieve yesterday? What's the progress? Quickly,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
And what's the plan for today?
What's the
Yeah.
plan for today? What is your top objectives? Oh, Maria, that's great, but can you actually prioritize that? Yes, thank you. I have a problem with that. Let's set up another call. Go.
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes. Check.
Yeah.
Everybody's
It can
motivated.
solve so many
Hmm.
problems if you have a daily.
I, that's it. That's it. I think, Monica, that's why like people don't want to hear that, because when get me on a, hey, Stoyan, come and give us the secrets, the magical pills, and I go and
And
talk
they're
to.
not secrets, actually.
There's no secrets. The secret is you gotta do the work consistently. Go find the best strategies, iterate and improve, adapt it to your context, show up every day. That's it. Do the work every day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it seems easy, but it's not. And I think like the whole methodology from your book that I'll show once again for everyone who's watching us in the video form. Um, you share a lot of simple things that you know. It seems that everyone knows them, but again, it seems that people don't connect them together. So maybe as a closing thought, we could or you could actually tell something about the perform methodology, because we only touched on one of the topics. And by the way, the subtitle, it's the Unsexy Truth About Startup Success. uh, yeah, and you're telling a lot of truth about how to achieve success, and it's not easy, it's simple, but you have to put in the work. So maybe a few words about perform.
For sure. So perform, as I said, it's been something we develop out of necessity first for ourselves, but also seeing the need of the market. People being confused, where do they start? So we actually created a system, methodology, which focuses on these 7 core areas everybody knows, but we don't do them consistently. We neglect
Hmm.
them because we're too busy doing the business stuff, right? Perform stands for purpose and values, effective planning, roles and responsibilities, focus and execution, optimal energy, robust communication, and mental toughness. 7 core pillars if you want to build a strong culture, productive culture, but also fulfilling culture where people are engaged and motivated to be a part of. So
Hmm.
the perform methodology gives founders and business leaders the opportunity to see their culture, to see their team from a perspective of the people side, right? The operational side, and identify what are the areas in which we are not doing really well, and what can we do so we can fill in the gaps. So
Hmm.
the book, the workshops, the programs that we do, they're all connected into bringing people together first to discuss those kind of things and identify, figure out what it is for themselves. And of course, if they're lacking any tools and examples, I've interviewed myself over 250 of the most successful business people in the world, some of them. So we can of course share some strategies, but as I told you, Monica, it's no rocket science. Many of the things are the same. It's about the implementation, right?
Hmm.
It's
So
about the.
actually
Mm.
using them instead of just thinking, oh, I know the methods, I know the tools. It's
Yeah,
just
I've
using
yeah
what
I've heard
works for
about it.
you. Yeah.
There was a study they did with American doctors, and they found out that 61% of American doctors are either overweight or obese.
Hmm.
And these are the guys that will tell you eat vegetables, go for a run, don't smoke, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
not about knowledge.
Yeah,
It's like take this
it's
knowledge.
about doing the things. Everyone knows how to lose weight. Move
Yeah,
more, eat less.
sleep well.
Yeah, sleep
There you
well.
go.
And
There you go.
still, a lot of people struggle with that. So it's not about knowing the things, it's about doing the things.
It's a commitment. I love that you
Mm-hmm.
started with that, and we can maybe wrap up with that. It's a mindset. I I need to come up with the mindset of learning. I
Mm-hmm.
need to get better every day. I need to make my team better every day. That's my commitment as a leader. So that means could be 1%, could be 0.5%, could be a step back 2 days later because you want to
Mm-hmm.
implement a new strategy, right? But it's like we need to get into this mindset of getting better, improving on a consistent basis, embedding personal development, embedding learning, embedding this experimentation mindset. Because it's not about what you do tomorrow, right? It's about where do you end up 2, 5, 10 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the impact you're gonna have if you start today, if you commit. I'm gonna invest in my team. I'm gonna invest in myself. I'm gonna invest in improving every single day, not just the business, the product, but also the way we do things, our
Mm-hmm.
culture, my leadership skills. I mean, just imagine the compound effect.
Yeah, over the weeks, months, and years. And it's definitely worth the investment of 20 minutes a day of planning, for example,
Yes,
or
please.
saying no to someone. Yeah, so thank you for not saying no to joining this podcast. It was a pleasure, and a lot of inspiring thoughts floated here. So I hope everyone took something what resonated with them. I don't know if we have any comments or questions at the end, but I think that if you are watching us on live on LinkedIn, and or maybe rewatching the recording, you can always tag Stoyan or me in the questions, and we'll try to find you the answers. Obviously, I will include all the links to Stoyan's podcast and the book in the description, so you will definitely not miss it. Yeah, and thank you once
And
again for
make sure
joining
to
us
connect, by
today.
the way, guys. Make sure to connect. I mean, we're very easy to reach. Find us on LinkedIn, find us on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Just say hello, you know, add
Yeah, if
us.
anything resonated with you, just let Stoyan know.
That'll be amazing. And keep performing, guys. Show up with a smile, even in the darkest of days. You know, like maybe just let me finish with that. I learned that
Okay.
from my friend Mark Harrison, the CEO and founder of the T1 agency and several other businesses. He told me um, every time he was struggling, and it was like a mental trigger he acquired in his 20s, using it already still today. Every time he's presented with a challenge, something is not working the way he wants to, he'll write on a piece of paper DFS, which meant deal from strength. In any situation, you only have two
Mm-hmm.
choices. Should I deal from strength or should I deal from weakness?
Mm-hmm.
Choose more often to deal from strength.
Super inspiring. And I think that's a perfect closing thought. So, once again, thank you very much. And to all of you listening to us, make sure to subscribe, to follow us on LinkedIn and Spotify. And I'll speak to you next week with the next guest. Bye.